Yeah, so here I'll be showing just a few seconds of a Vox Pop interview from my final major project on a football documentary.
Hasn't stopped me coming to the Hive, to all the home games. Sometimes I come on the shuttle bus, and other times I drive here. It doesn't actually take me that long.
Yeah, so I was researching similar productions in order to gain research on how to film the perfect documentary, where, for example, I watched a Barnet documentary where I saw different styles of interviews from Vox Pop and Talking Heads, and I saw a documentary on Newport County Football Club where they just interviewed different supporters and representatives of the club who just, spoke about the football team and, the background and what the history of the club and what goes around. And another documentary on Wingate and Finchley Football Club where I discovered different shot compositions from the likes of wide shots, establishing and medium close-ups. Once I gained all my understandings, I began writing a script where for the script I was sorting out the scenes. Like, for example, I added which audio would be inserted, like narrative and microphone, and the types of shots from mid close-ups to point of views and Vox Pop's interview styles. Scripts. And throughout the final major project, I've been, of course, writing a reflective journal whilst, discussing on how I need to reflect on what challenges I faced and how I could always tackle the challenge once, the problem has solved. Like, for example, I added images just to demonstrate what I did during workshops and production work. Like, for example, here, there's an example of feedback I received on Google Drive about researching on the pitch of documentaries. And over here's an example of using Final Cut Pro with editing.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
When you were filming, did you have to take any precautions? Like, was there any risk assessments or anything needed to be done? Or
Well, it's funny you actually mention this because I did a risk assessment over here where I identified a few hazards that could potentially happen and maybe did happen whilst recording on set.
so was it useful?
It was useful indeed because, I had to identify what was going around, like, for example, cars coming in and pedestrians walking by, and, of course, keeping the device, safe at all times whilst filming. Also,
Can you talk about your idea and the time schedule you have been given?
oh yeah, for my schedule. 1 second. Yeah, so my schedule, I had to identify, deadlines, for example, when to finish production, when to make risk assessments, and, to liaise with representatives from Barnet Football Club in order to get the documentary going. And I also, once I, did my filming and editing, I did a reflective journal about filming my final major project. And the best thing about this reflective journal just, shows myself what I did wrong, what I tackled.
Yeah. What particular technical skill you have developed and how did the skill support the development of your project?
Well, one of the skills I developed during this final major project was filming different terminologies from medium close-ups to wide shots in a professional manner.
Very good.
But I also did research on, the history of the club, like, for example, the managers that managed Barnet and the players we had. And I also did location research, about the stadium itself and the capacity, like whether it was bigger than the old stadium or not. And I also, in terms of primary research, I use examples of text messages and emails just to demonstrate, how I use my communication.
So, would you? How did you get like feedback? Did you use any kind of like websites or
Oh yes,
to get responses or?
in terms of feedback, I created a survey where I got 12 responses, which really helped me because, I asked questions like what people made of the video quality, whether the sound needed improving. So for each response I got, it's given me, motivation on how to improve for my final edits. Whereas the rough edit didn't exactly, let's just say, cover up everything, but hopefully the final one will be much better.
Okay. Yeah.